Okay, hello everybody. It's me, Geoff. Hope you're doing well on this Sunday night. We're getting ready for the Game Awards nominations that are coming up tomorrow. So I thought I'd stop by and do like a little Q&A. I also just wanted to make sure test everything was working with all our streaming stuff since it's been a minute since I've done a live stream. So just wanted to stop by and I'm going to answer a couple questions about Game Awards, tell you a bit about what you can expect tomorrow and in the next 3.5 weeks. I can't believe it. It's only 3.5 weeks until we're going to be live with the Game Awards. So tell you a bit about the show. Just so everyone knows, I'm not here to announce any world premieres or announcements or anything coming to the show. Really, the focus right now is on the nominees. And I know our show has lots of cool things to surprise you with, hopefully, and announcements and a look forward. But we really like to start every year with focusing on the games of the year, the nominees, the incredible teams, and the work that they've done. So we're not announcing any world premieres, tomorrow or this week. We're really kind of focusing on the nominees. So happy to talk about that or the process and things like that with you guys. But just so you know, kind of to catch you up, tomorrow we'll be live on Twitch and YouTube and everywhere with the nominees. That'll be at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, 5 p.m. GMT. I will be at the Peacock Theater to announce nominees in 31 categories. It's going to be a pretty quick live stream. It'll be probably 15 minutes or so. We're just going to go right through all the nominees and break them down for you. And then I'm sure everyone will have debate and discussion about what gets nominated or what doesn't get nominated. It's always an interesting day for me because even though I don't pick the game nominees, I'm obviously associated with the show and known as sort of the face of the show. So people often think I'm picking or I'm deciding. So both fans and also game developers, some people are very happy tomorrow. Some are frustrated, disappointed. We'll see how it plays out, but we're going to reveal everything for you tomorrow. The game nominees are picked by a media and influencer jury of about 120 different people. All are really outlets around the world that pick the nominees in all the gaming categories. And then we have special juries for some of the other categories that focus on certain things like esports or accessibility. But that's kind of how the nominees are determined. They're these big global media outlets that have individuals who play all the games, and there's so many games to play every year. We take an outlet approach to find the best group of nominees. So that'll all be revealed tomorrow, our nominees. And then it's 3.5 weeks until the Game Awards happens live on Thursday, December 7th. So we are in the background working very hard to put together the show for you. And I work on the Game Awards pretty much all year and really almost exclusively starting in July or August. I really kind of focus on putting the show together. I travel around the world and visit teams and work on a lot of things. So a lot of things are coming together now with the show, and it's a very exciting time for those of us that have been working on the show all year, that we finally get to see some of the visuals of games and trailers and announcements that we're going to put on for you. So there's still lots of hard work to be done in the coming weeks. We're also working on the music performances. We'll have our Game Awards Orchestra back again, performing the Game of the Year medley, which is always an amazing moment towards the end of the show. Lauren Balfe will be back again as our composer-conductor. We worked with him for the Hollywood Bowl show that we did back in June, and he'll be with us. And really, his team now has 3.5 weeks to put together that medley, because they don't even know who the Game of the Year nominees are. It all happens tomorrow, so then we immediately have to email all the composers and the companies and start to pull together that thing in 3.5 weeks. And it's the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday break next week, so it's a very tight timeline for our team to put it together. But that is going to be a big part of the show, as always, our Game of the Year medley with the Game Awards Orchestra. So that's kind of where things are at. We'll have the nominees for you tomorrow, and then we'll have announcements in the future about world premieres and guests and things like that. But it's really tomorrow we're going to focus on the nominees. So if you guys have some questions for me, we'll see if I can answer them. But I'm happy to jump into chat here and see what you guys are asking. Let's see. We've also got some other cool things, Game Awards related, happening this week that we'll tell you about later this week, so stay tuned. We've been working on some cool things behind the scenes. All right, I'm going to call up this featured chat thing, which I've used before, and if you guys have questions, I'm going to try and figure out if I can answer them here. All right, let's see if this works. Does it work? Does it pop up? Let's see. It should pop up, but it doesn't look like it is. Yeah, I thought it was going to show the questions. I use this featured chat thing. Let me try this again. No? All right, I'm just going to answer some questions then. All right. What is my personal game of the year? Are these showing up? I don't think they are, right? All right, well, I'm just going to answer them anyways. These are real questions, though. Had this thing that was going to show up. It didn't work. That's why we test. What's my personal game of the year? Oh, boy. It's hard for me to say that just because I'm so associated with the show. I played a lot of great games, finished some. I haven't finished everything. There's so many great games out there. So I'll take a pass on that. But I've been playing a lot of great games recently. Last sort of two games that I'd played through were Spider-Man 2 and Alan Wake. I got my Steam Deck OLED that I've been toying around. I think I have that around here. Oh, yeah. It's right here. This is the Steam Deck OLED, which is really cool, which is really, really amazing. It's got an OLED screen. I think I'm allowed to show this on the stream. I don't even know. I think I'm allowed to. Yeah. Anyways, I was playing a little Dave the Diver earlier today and some other fun stuff. Cocoon, which is amazing, amazing independent game from some of the guys, ex-Playdead guys that did with Annapurna. I was playing that. So anyways, yeah, I've been playing a bunch. Oh, I've also got this thing too. This is the PlayStation 5 Portal. Have you guys heard about this? This is, I don't think I'm not allowed to show this running yet, but it's basically, I mean, it's a dual sense with kind of a screen in between. It allows you to play your PS5 games over Wi-Fi. So it doesn't actually have any storage. It's all kind of streamed to the device, but that's another cool thing that I think is coming out this week or next week. Anyways, I didn't mean to make it a show and tell. Let me look for some questions here and see what I can tell you guys about stuff. What time is the nomination stream tomorrow? Asks the Bam Bam. Tomorrow it is at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, 5 p.m. GMT. Is Pedro Eustache coming back? The flute guy. Popular question. The flute guy. Love Pedro. We'll see. Nothing to say today about that, but stay tuned. Let's see. Are there any categories you'd like to bring in that you've never been able to, such as at the Golden Joysticks, they had the best game trailer. Yeah, I watched the Golden Joysticks yesterday. I didn't watch it live, but I watched it yesterday. I don't know. We've talked about other awards and categories. One of the things, honestly, that is a challenge for us is that we have so many categories already that we can't present them all in the live show, and that's something that I know sometimes frustrates people. So as we add more categories, it's sort of more categories we might not be able to present. So we're very judicious about adding things. The last category we added, well, last two we added was innovation and accessibility. A couple of years ago we added for accessibility, which we thought was a really important category, and then we added best adaptation last year, which was a category that Arcane won for, that incredible animated series based on League of Legends. So those are the sort of two newest categories. We talk every year about other things to add in. We also talk about what can we do as sort of legacy awards or awards, discretionary awards for certain individuals or initiatives. I don't think we'd ever do necessarily a best game trailer award. I think it's cool, and we obviously love game trailers in our things, but I don't know if we would necessarily do that as an award. So yeah, we're trying to think of we're always thinking of other categories we could add, but we're pretty careful about what we add in and around the show, just because, as I said, it's hard because there's so many categories that we want to get to that we can't even there. So it's a good question, though. Definitely something that we debate and talk about internally. Let's see. Oh, okay, good question here. I like this. How do you decide which categories to present in the live show and which to leave out? And that's a question by Hatery36. Well, it depends. I mean, I think every year we debate it. Obviously, there's some categories that we're for sure going to do, like, Game of the Year and things like that. And then we try and rotate things around every year. Some of it's a function of kind of which games are nominated. We sort of start to look at that this week because, a lot of the craft categories, sometimes the same games get nominated again and again. But in, the independent categories or games for impact or sports racing or things like that, it's a different set of games. So we try and look at the whole show and try and be somewhat diverse about kind of the types of games that are recognized. Sometimes it's also a function of how many nominees are attending the show versus not attending. That was obviously a bigger issue in sort of COVID years of sort of were people there for those categories. For instance, like in the esports categories, we often face a lot of challenges with people being there because they're off playing or not available. So that sometimes impacts things. So yeah, it's a combination of things, but we definitely try and rotate, and I'm very conscious of like try to do some of the independent categories and things like that, not just all the big blockbuster games. And that's same thing for the world premieres. We try and really focus on smaller teams sometimes too that really deserve to be on our stage, are not from these big sort of monolithic companies, but are really independent creators building their own games. So that's also something that's kind of important to us as well. So yeah, it's a conversation we have every year, and that happens really starting tomorrow. Once we know the subset of nominees, then we can kind of figure out how to do that. And we try to sort of do about half the awards every year is kind of our average. I know some people want us to do every one. Some people don't want any awards. They just want wall-to-wall announcements. And that kind of constant balance is something that we're always thinking about. But it's a great question. Let's see. Next question. Will you do Game of the Decade when the show turns 10 years? Well, this is actually our 10th show. It's our 10th show, but our 10th anniversary is next year. It's always a bit different, right? Because when you're born, you're 0 until you turn 1. Although I know in some cultures, I think you're born, you're 1 year old, I think. Could be wrong about that, but someone tell me if I'm wrong. So I don't know if we do a Game of the Decade. We thought about it. We talked about it. It's so hard because games naturally progress technologically, every year. So I remember a lot of amazing games from 10, 20, 30 years ago. And when you go back and play them, we're like, it wasn't as good as I remember it, because you have these sort of rose-colored glasses. You sort of look through things that are older sometimes. So I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting conversation. We talked about it. We're not doing it this year. Maybe in the future we would, and things like that. Back when I used to work at Spike TV and the Video Game Awards, we did a Game of the Decade thing for 10 years of VGAs that Half-Life 2 won. Gabe Newell and the team came down for that, which was fun. So yeah, it's an interesting idea, but again, it's sort of the same thing where it's like adding more categories. I think we really want it to be sort of a different set of games and different things, and that would create a whole bunch of drama, right, online. We already have enough drama about the best game of the decade. So not happening this year, but definitely another thing that we sort of have talked about. Let's see. With the rise of VTubers in gaming, will we ever see a VTuber possibly present an award? Yeah, I mean that's definitely a possibility. Thinking about, I think we think of VTubing, we think of also just virtual characters and things like that. Some of the amazing kind of performance capture stuff that's able to be done now in real time. There's a demo I think Epic did a few years ago with Melina Juergens, who's the actress that plays Senua in Hellblade, doing like a real-time motion capture thing. So yeah, we talk about all that stuff. So anything's possible. If we can have Muppets on our stage, anything is possible, right, guys? So let's see. What was my favorite reveal from last year's show? Good question. Last year was a really good show, and I think it was emblematic of what a great year it's been for games, right? Because there's so many kind of big games that came out this year, franchises and sequels and things like that. I don't know. I mean, a lot of things were special to me. Hades 2 was really amazing. I love the guys at Supergiant, and that was I really wanted to lead off the show last year with an independent game. So doing that with Supergiant for Hades was really, really cool and special. Judas from Ken Levine. I was really excited to reveal that game with Ken. It's a game that we had talked about for years and finally was ready last year to reveal. They haven't really said anything since then about that game, but that was a really cool game. I'm a big fan of Ken's style of games and the BioShock sort of feels to that game. So that was really cool. And that's oftentimes, sometimes there'll be games that we've talked to teams about for years that just aren't right one year, they're not ready, and then it comes back around. You'll see some of that this year too. There'll be things that are finally ready that we've been waiting on for a while. So that was cool. Death Stranding 2 with Hideo Kojima was really cool and awesome to sort of reveal that with him, which was really cool. So yeah, Armored Core, the From team, that was really special. I'm trying to remember. I mean, we were very lucky last year with all the games and the content that we had in our show. So things are constantly changing. But those are some of my favorites. But we had a lot of really great stuff last year, which was really cool. So great question, which was really, really good. Oh yeah, so in Korea is like that exactly. I think that's right. You turn right when you're born in Korea, you're 1. Is that right? See, all right. making sense. But Game Awards, when we were born, we were 0. So this is our 10th year, and next year will be our 10th anniversary year. All right, good questions. All right, let's see what else here, you guys. Am I physically capable of doing a backflip? Maybe, but I'm not gonna try. I'll tell you that much. Be interesting. Wouldn't that be cool if I like came out on stage and did like a backflip or something? I always think I like sometimes when I'm like, yeah, maybe I should like learn how to tap dance and like tap dance at the start of the show and just like blow you guys away with some crazy musical number I do where I backflip or I tap dance or I sing. Not happening this year, but sometimes when I'm feeling good, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll train for 6 months and I'll just blow you guys away with some crazy musical number. Not happening this year, but there is a good musical number if you love musical numbers. And if you, I don't know if you guys have played Alan Wake, but there's an awesome kind of musical number. I don't want to spoil it, but it's early in the game, but it's something that was very cool. So that reminded me of like, I want to be cool to do musical stuff. Will there be an announcement that will knock our socks off? Asks Mr. Sakurai. I don't know. We're not getting into that right now. It's always hard because everyone has their own expectations that they bring to, as Alan Wake says, everyone has hopes and expectations that people bring to something. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we'll have some good stuff for you guys in 3.5 weeks. There's lots going on behind the scenes as we're trying to put things together. And, we actually don't even know fully what's happening with some elements of the show. We're still working on some things. So, yeah, well, hopefully it's going to be a good show. And we're working very hard, and many teams around the world are working incredibly hard to try and impress you with what's coming next in games. So too early to say, but I will keep you posted. I'll do another stream. Once we get past the nominees, we'll probably talk a little bit more about some of that stuff, but I really honestly do not want to distract from the nominations tomorrow. I think it's really important to focus on that and celebrate those teams and all the amazing games that we've had this year before we kind of think about what's next. Why are the Game Awards on a Thursday? Great question. I think it's just where we started, honestly, back in 2014 was with a Thursday broadcast for the Game Awards, and we just have sort of stayed there, honestly. It's a tough time of year with the holidays, trying to figure out when to do things. We've talked about, could we do it on a weekend? And I know, look, if you're in Europe or overseas, I know it's like kind of this time of night. Which is, early in the morning on Friday. I know it's not ideal. It's a little bit better in Asia because it's kind of the next morning. It's hard to find a time that works for everyone. And we've talked about doing things at, different times of day. We do the Gamescom O&L show. We do in Europe, in the evening, which is earlier in the day. Summer Game Fest, we did a little bit earlier in the day here in LA. So it's just kind of, it's never perfect, and I think Thursday's just where we've kind of ended up with the show over the years, and it seems to work relatively well. The audience has been growing every year for the show, so we're kind of like, let's not mess up. Sort of, it seems to be going okay. But in a future year, we might be able to do it on a different day of the year, or day of the week, I should say. But yeah, good question. Something we definitely think about. Let's see. Will the broadcast be streamer friendly, or will we have to deal with copyrighted music during the awards show or trailers, or is it a thing that you don't know what's going to be in some of the trailers? Well, it's a good question. It's something we definitely think about. There's lots of popular music often used in video game trailers. We work with the game companies and the streaming platforms to make sure that everything is sort of streamer friendly and streamer safe. It's not to get too much into it, but it's a complicated thing because music rights, sometimes there are different people in different countries that own rights. And even though someone approves something, somewhere along the chain, it didn't get told to the person that has the rights in, Vietnam to, this song, and it could get blocked there. So it's never a perfect thing. But yeah, we work really hard to make sure that the show is sort of streamer friendly. For live, sometimes with, VOD clips and things like that, it can get complicated. But yeah, we love co-streaming. I mean, there were, 10,000 people that co-streamed the show last year on Twitch. So we would love to have you co-stream if it makes sense for you. Great question. Oh my God, there's so many questions here. Do I have a special pair of socks I wear every year? And do you call them your lucky Geoffs? Great idea. I don't really even spend much time thinking about my socks, honestly, but I probably should. Think about my shoes, right? I figure out what that's going to be. Let's see. Will in this year's show be a big announcement? I don't know. Depends on how you define a big announcement. Here's an interesting question. Has there ever been an idea for the Game Awards that just could not happen for a variety of reasons? Sure, there's always things we want to do. Some things are, I mean, when we started the show, I always wanted to do the orchestra, and financially, we couldn't afford to do it until 2017, I think. So the first 14, 15, yeah, first 3 years, we couldn't do that. So that was thing. And then, yeah, there are always things that, can't happen because a game is not ready. That often happens, right? Where we think we're going to be able to do something, and the developer will email me or call me up or Zoom me and say, "Hey, sorry, we're just not ready." And that often happens with our show, and people always wonder why wasn't this at the show. It's like, well, because it's probably not ready. And so that often happens. And it's disappointing sometimes, but it definitely happens often. Yeah, so there are things we ask for that don't happen. There are things with certain talent or guests that don't happen for a variety of reasons. So yeah, there's always a show like this. There's so many things going on, right? That there are always things that break your heart that you can't do. And then there are fun things that happen. Like the first year that we had the Muppets, I was like, "Oh my God, could we really get the Muppets to come to the Game Awards?" And it was amazing. We got that was with Ninja and Pepe, if you remember that. Came to that, and then we sort of done something Muppety kind of every year since then. I think we might have skipped a year or not, but yeah. So there's always fun things that do happen. So I always kind of focus on the glass half full of the things that do happen versus the things that don't happen. But yes, there are always things that don't happen. Let's see. Next question. Will you be adding more live performances this year, or hopefully the same as last year? Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. We're still figuring some stuff out, but I mean, we love doing some live stuff. I think the thing that we found over the years is that we really want to do things that are really connected to games. So, we're not just going to have kind of a band play for the sake of like, oh, here's an awesome band playing a song. It's really got to tie emotionally sort of to games, hopefully. So yeah, our performances are kind of ever evolving with our show. And I love live music, right? I go to concerts all the time, and I love music. But there's actually not. I mean, I'm always surprised that there are not that many kind of big acts doing like last year we had. I mean, Hosier did the God of War thing, which was awesome, and Halsey did the Diablo thing, which was really cool. So sometimes things end up like that. Other years it's sort of different stuff. The orchestra is really big and important to us. So yeah, and I know some people like that stuff, and some people like just show me the games. And our show is this kind of hodgepodge of all these other things sort of coming together, and it's a little bit of awards, a little bit of music, a little bit of world premieres, etc. And it just kind of comes together into this unique concoction. And as I stir my cauldron right now, I don't quite know what's going to come out on December 7th, but I will keep you posted. Let's see. Lots more questions. Sorry, just flipping through all this stuff. Do I have a favorite Game of the Year medley so far? I really love the 2021 in particular. Yeah, they've all been good. 2018 I remember was really cool because it had like Red Dead and God of War, and I think Spider-Man was that year too. That was really cool. Sort of all those out there. 2020 was great as well. That was really fun with like Animal Crossing, and that was a pandemic. There's a pandemic year. So that I think was just really special to sort of have that music even played, right? Because we had played a lot of these games in the pandemic, and having that like the Animal Crossing music live. I think it went from like Animal Crossing into Doom or something, and that was a fun one. So yeah, every year's different, and it's actually really fun to see what Lauren does with it. And I'm not very musically inclined. I love music, but I don't know how to write music or compose it, and I'm always amazed about how those songs come together with the different tempos and feelings. And I mean, he's masterful how Lauren does that. And I don't think people fully appreciate how hard that is to take, all these different games and the music and kind of make this 3.5 minute piece. And he does a masterful job. And I think, you guys, I know, love it. And it's really special and cool. So that's really become like a signature performance for us in the show. And I'm indebted to Lauren that he does that every year. It's not an easy task musically to take these very diverse, games where, yeah, that year in 2020, I think it was going from like, what was that? It was probably like Final Fantasy and Animal Crossing and Doom, Last of Us. Trying to remember all my nominees over the years, but yeah, it's a really cool thing. So we're gonna get to work on that tomorrow when everything gets announced. Let's see. With the rise of video game adaptations, is there a game that you would love to see adapted into a film or show? Well, honestly, a lot of them, a lot of them are happening. There are a lot of those going on. Probably too many. I'm excited about BioShock. I think that's going to become. I think it's like a film at Netflix or a series at Netflix. I'm excited about. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a God of War thing. There's a Horizon thing. There was a Halo thing. I mean, Gears of War thing, or yeah, I feel like every major franchise is somehow being adapted in some way. I hope what's going to happen is not just like taking a game and adapting it, but kind of like building on the world and telling other stories and things like that. So I think that kind of thing is much more interesting to me, and I thought Last of Us did a cool job of that, of kind of telling some side stories and things you didn't see in the game. So I'm hoping there's a little bit more of that, in the future. Um, let's see. How involved is Kyle Bossman this year? The Bossman will be involved, as he always is in all things Game Awards. Um, let's see. Will there be any gameplay demos shown? This is an interesting question. Um, we typically don't do gameplay demos at the Game Awards, and we do trailers that feature gameplay, absolutely, and it's really important to us actually. And you'll see even again, I don't want to talk too much about this year's show, but there are often things where like people will pitch us a CG trailer, right, which we're all familiar with, and I'll be like, cool, but like let's show the game. So we do these things now that are kind of hybrid trailers where it's like there's some CG, but then we also show the gameplay. I think that's really important to actually show the game because I don't know about you guys, but I've been desensitized over the years to all these CG trailers that are like bombastic and amazing, and then you're like, oh, it's a top-down RTS, which nothing against top-down RTSs, but I'm like, it just doesn't really match what the CG is. And so many in-game, footage now, it looks so great in and of itself. So, yeah. So, but that said, no, we don't do like here's a 15-minute gameplay demo in the Game Awards. Things tend to be shorter in Game Awards. At Summer Game Fest or Gamescom, we can go a little bit longer. But traditionally for stuff, that is kind of like in our show, it's really more trailers and reveals and first looks at games versus like here's 15 minutes of a game. So I'd love to do that at some point with the right game, but traditionally like we tend to do more trailers. It's a good question. It's something we definitely think about there. Do you like the mix of fan industry voting that you have? Do you think it can be improved? So yeah, we could talk a bit about that. The voting for the nominees is fully selected by our sort of jury. The public is not involved in that. And then the winners, it's a split vote between the media jury and the public, and the split is 90% media, 10% public. And look, could you switch that? We have a category called Player's Voice that is 100% fan voted. The thing with fan voting is it's really important, but I also feel like, and we've seen this, people can sometimes game the system or socially engineer things, and we don't want it to just be a popularity contest or who promoted their nomination the most or who had the biggest audience or the biggest, group of people that they could get to go vote. So that's the thing with fan voting is it's hard, and also like, for instance, games that are on a single platform versus multi-platform means they have inherently probably less people that have played them, so less people would vote for them. So we think about it, and like, could we slide it in one direction or the other potentially? We look at the results of the fan voting versus the media voting, and it's actually like, speaking generally, it's actually not that far off sometimes. So in terms of like, what the public wanted versus what the media wanted, and that kind of like blends together. So yeah, we're always thinking about it. We're pretty happy with the process overall. I think, I look back over our show over the years, I think like the right games tend to win. You may disagree, but I mean, I think it's like usually like it's pretty legit what wins. And we have the Player's Voice, and that last year was crazy, right? It was 100% fan voted and was just kind of nutty. So it's something that we definitely think about. I mean, that's the same split that we've had, I don't know, probably the last 5 years or so, something like that. It's always been like that. So we think about it, and we may change it in the future. The thing with Game Awards we really try to do is be very responsive to sort of feedback and kind of pivot if needed. So if we feel like, oh, this isn't working, we can switch it. But the fan votes like do matter, and especially in a tight year like this year or other years, I'm sure the public voting will actually like really affect the results of the show in some ways. So with tight races, it matters a lot, right? If it's it's a landslide year or something, then it doesn't matter as much. But this year especially, I don't know, but I think it's probably going to be pretty competitive with the games that are out there. But great question, and something, and I appreciate you thinking about that, because we definitely think about that stuff too. Thoughts on the new gaming handheld systems and where you want that type of hardware to go in the future? Yeah, I showed the PlayStation Portal thing and the Steam Deck. I love that stuff. I travel a lot for my job and personally and stuff like that, so I'm not always at home kind of tethered to a TV to play games. And I love the idea of just, being able to kind of pick things up and play them. And I think now, streaming tech is good enough that we can do that, and it works out pretty well. So I think we're going to see more of that moving forward. I also think you're eventually going to find sort of like controllers are going to, Bluetooth or AirPlay into TVs and other sets, and your game is going to kind of live in the cloud to some degree. Um, so yeah, I think we're going to see more handheld stuff and more cool accessible stuff that you can kind of play on the go, like on PlayStation Portal. I can play Alan Wake 2 right off my PS5 and things like that. Can't play it on Steam Deck because it's not on Steam, but yeah, I think we're going to see more of that for sure. And they're really, I mean, there are a lot of good gaming handhelds in that, like the Steam Deck OLED. I have it around here somewhere. Like the screen, beautiful. Like it's really, really good. So great question. Um, let's see. My personal favorite game of the year, I'll take a pass on that. Is there a chance for the Game Awards to be hosted in different cities or countries? Yes, I think there definitely is the opportunity for that to happen in a future year. I would really love to do that, actually. Before the pandemic, I always dreamed of one day doing the Game Awards in a different city. I was like, maybe for our 10th year, we go do the show live in Tokyo, or we could do the show in London or something like that. So it's another that's just a cost thing to be able to do it. But I would love eventually to take the show on the road, as they say, and move it around the world. Like I think if we did the Game Awards in Tokyo, like a Tokyo Dome or something like that, that would just be insane. It'd be so cool. So maybe one year. It's just obviously like very expensive, very challenging. Technically, our show is a very complex process to put it all together and make it happen. So to travel a team there and work with foreign crews and stuff, it's harder. And we have a very high standard for that. So yeah, I would love to do it though. And just like we do Gamescom in Germany, I love doing things around the world. So that would be a dream for me to be able to do it in a different city. And we've been in LA for the past 9 years. The first year we were in Las Vegas. So yes, I think down the road for sure, we'd love to do more internationally. And that's definitely something that we kind of think about. All right, next question. Has there been a game that you were surprised that was nominated? Are you saying like in the past, I guess? Yeah, they're always fun surprises. I would say it's less surprises and more just like cool discoveries of like, wow, that's an awesome game. And I don't know about you, but when I see the nominees, it's like, whoa, that's cool. I haven't heard of that game. Let me go check it out and play it. And I think that one of the best parts of our show is that people can discover new games to play by our show. I mean, when you see the Game of the Year list, you'll probably be like, oh, I played a bunch of those. But when you see the independent game list or the games for impact or the debut indie game list, you might be like, oh, that's cool. I've never heard of this game. Let me go check it out. So I love that element of discovery. And those sometimes are surprising and that you didn't know about them, right? I mean, my whole life is about video games and I'm still discovering new games, which makes sense because on Steam there's, 200 new games a day or something like that come out. So yes, though definitely something that we love to do is kind of surprise people with kind of new games on the list. And look, on the other side, there are always surprises and things that don't get nominated. And I'm sure tomorrow there will be some controversy about something that didn't get nominated, didn't get nominated enough, or got left off the list. Especially in a competitive year like this year, a lot of people have asked. No one's asked me this, but a lot of people have asked, like, because there were so many great games this year, you're going to expand the Game of the Year list to have 10 games or TGA 10 or something like that. And no, we're not. We're going to keep it kind of to the same process we always have, which is 6 games, or if there was a tie, there could be 7 or 8 games, or I guess more, but it's usually it's about 6 that are on the list for Game of the Year. And we did discuss that as well, the idea of like, could we expand the list? It's just hard because then you want to be truly special when things are nominated, and I mean we could have 30 games as nominees for Game of the Year, but obviously that's not quite the same. So yeah, it's and then you end up only still having one winner. So I don't know, like it's something we think about, but we're sticking with sort of the same general sort of process that we've gone through in past years for the number of nominees and categories. Lots of great questions. All right, I'm gonna have to go in a few minutes, guys. How often does your favorite game also win Game of the Year? I don't know. Depends. I mean, I'm so close to the show and all this stuff. I don't necessarily have a singular favorite game. I see sort of merit in a lot of the games that are nominated. But yeah, there've been years where I'm like, absolutely, like, I agree with the choice. I remember the last one that was like, I think a real debate was, I remember back in 2018, it was like God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, and that was like, they were kind of winning across the show and knew it was going to happen. And God of War ended up winning that year, and that was an interesting year. And that was one where I was like, oh wow, it could be either. I don't know. And yeah, and also like you kind of look back and you wonder like, did the right game win that year? I remember like Overwatch won in 2016 at the time. Everyone's like, oh, that's that was amazing. It was probably really the only I think multiplayer. I think so. The only multiplayer only game that's won. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that that's not true. It Takes Two, I guess, is co-op only, but more story driven. But yeah, I think like Overwatch that was kind of at the time was like I think that beat what did that beat? Maybe it was like Uncharted 4 or something like that. I can't remember what else was up that year. But yeah, you look back and it's sort of like interesting over the 10 years, right? The games that have won, it's like were those the right games that won or not? So yeah, it's I don't know. There's so much going on. Sometimes it's hard to kind of really know what to expect. Um, Without giving specifics, how nuts do you think the reveals will be this year? Not even touching that. I hope it's going to be a good year, and I hope you guys will enjoy what we have for you. We're doing the best we can. We really want to celebrate not only the year that was, but what will happen in the future for the industry. And you'll tell me afterwards if you liked what we had or didn't have. We're just we're honored to do the show, and I think we're excited about some of the things we're definitely going to be showing you guys. But I don't want to spoil any of it for you. Are there any cool new indie games that we might see? Again, I don't really talk about the reveals too much because I want to focus on the nominees. But yes, it's very important for us to have independent developers in the show and give them a stage and an opportunity, especially this year with everything that's been going on in the industry and the layoffs and just the economic challenges. Like I have so much admiration for independent studios that build games on their own, take the risk, and do things on their own. And one of the things I hope about our show is that it's a great leveler and that it doesn't matter if you're, the biggest game company in the world or you're three guys in a garage in, some or guys or girls or whoever in a garage or wherever you live, just like people making games. You can still be on our stage and we can still showcase games and things like that. And look, it's a challenging environment because we have so many things pitched and we can't go with everything. But I'm really proud that we do have a lot of room for independent games that hopefully can be on our stage and give people sort of an opportunity there. And again, as we get into it, we'll talk more about it. But yes, we have some really cool independent stuff I think that's going to happen at the show this year. What am I going to wear? I do not know. I need to work on that. If I'm sick the day of the show, does Kyle get to host? Maybe. I don't know. Sydney will be there. Sydney Goodman, who hosts the opening acts. She could host. We'll see. Hopefully I'm not sick. But yes, Kyle's always there for me if needed. Let's see. Will there be a TGA 10-year concert stream next year to celebrate 10 years of the Game Awards? I'm not sure what we're going to do. I will kind of keep you posted what happens there, but nothing to announce right now. And I don't think the Hollywood Bowl concert, I don't think we're going to do every year, but we would love to do it again in the future. Will there be merchandise this year? I think there actually are some Game Awards shirts or sweatshirts that are coming, so stay tuned for that. What is the cutoff date for eligible games? Games have to be released by, I believe it's this Friday, the 18th is the cutoff. I think that's whatever Friday is. Is it the 18th? I can't keep track. But sort of this games have to be out by this Friday, or they would bump to sort of next year's eligibility. Do I have high anxiety when doing these events? Sure. We've been doing them for a long time, so you're used to the process. But yeah, I always want it to go well. I have anxiety about the nominees tomorrow, hoping that it's going to go well and people will be happy with what's nominated and all works out. The website works and things like that. So yeah, we have a great team, though, that really helps us put the show together. So I feel, really confident that we're going to hopefully have a great show for you guys. How are you and the team doing? Thank you for asking. We're doing well. We're really busy. We're excited about tomorrow, and the next 3.5 weeks are going to be crazy. This is a very busy time of year, but I love coming to chat with you guys and telling you about what's going on with the show. Let's see. How's my relationship with Angry Joe? I have not talked to Angry Joe in a while, but we're cool now. We had a run-in, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 years ago at the Spiked VGAs. But yeah, since then we've hung out. I actually visited Joe. I went to Joe's house in Austin, I don't know, probably is 8 years ago now or something like that, and we hung out. So yeah, Joe's a good guy. Love to see him at the Game Awards one year. All right, I got to bounce here, guys, and get on to some other stuff to prepare for tomorrow. But thank you so much for hanging out. This was really fun to kind of chat about all things Game Awards and get ready for the nominee stream tomorrow. That'll be happening, as I said, at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, 5 p.m. GMT. So would love to sort of have you guys there, and then you'll get to tell us what you think. And by the way, on our channel, we have this cool thing. I don't know if you're on desktop. I don't know if it's on mobile yet. We have this thing called Twitch Predicts the Game Awards. If an extension, I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's on the right hand panel, and that's going to be active tomorrow, and it's going to let you actually vote. If you're watching on YouTube, this is not a YouTube thing. It's a Twitch thing. Sorry, but it's a let you kind of predict and vote what you think is going to win all the categories. We got our Discord server firing up. We got a lot of cool things we're doing around the show this year, and there's something truly crazy that we're doing that we'll talk about middle of the week, which is going to be really fun and something brand new that I'm very excited about around the show this year. Not tied to a big reveal or the nominees. It's just a different thing we're doing, which I'm excited about, and I'll tell you guys about that. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for your support. It's going to be, I think, hopefully a good day tomorrow with excitement around the nominees, and we're working hard on the show. So even if I'm not here streaming every day, know that behind the scenes, our team is working incredibly hard to bring a special Game Awards to you on Thursday, December 7th, and there will be much more to share in the days and weeks ahead. Thanks, guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow for the nominee announcement, the Game Awards 2023. All right? See you guys. Take care. Bye.